Shabbat Shalom. There's a book that was going around, probably still is, but it was really popular in the rabbi Jewish professional world. I got it from Ken because he reads everything, called Unreasonable Hospitality. People know this book, they've heard of it. It was written by the manager of a very upscale, fancy, famous restaurant in Manhattan that was known for what he called unreasonable hospitality, right? The maitre d's would Google every guest who had a reservation and have their picture so that instead of walking up to a podium and saying, "Hi, Witkowski, table for 4, you would walk in and someone would be right there and they would say, "Oh, hi, Ethan, how are you? It's so good to see you," because like a stalker, they have looked up your photo online and they have found you. And so the restaurant, the book is actually quite lovely and there's a lot of nice things in it. But when I started reading the book, I got about 5 pages in and was hearing his philosophy of going above and beyond and what it means to do things that people don't even expect. And I threw the book on the ground and I stopped reading. And I went to Ken and I said, "I hate it. I hate this book, take it back." And again, I've since picked it up, I've read it, it's nice, it's got some nice things in it, and we've got facial recognition on all of you now, so we'll greet you without the name tags. But I was doing a little internal investigation over the holidays of why this book got me so angry. And part of it is that this idea of unreasonable hospitality is something that I feel is expected. It's just reasonable from many of us in the Jewish world. I'm not looking at my other Jewish professionals here. We can talk about this in therapy afterwards. But it comes from an earnest place, which is this desire to make people feel seen, to make people feel comfortable, to make people feel welcomed. It's basically what we spend half of our board meetings and executive committee meetings and staff meetings talking about, right? How can we better make sure that everyone, when they walk in, has all of their needs met, knows where things are? I asked one of the members of our staff, "What does hospitality mean to you?" I won't say who it is, but it rhymes with Rabbi Schwartzman. And she said, "Hospitality to me means I know where the seltzer is in your house, and I know that it's okay to just go take one." Right? And we work so hard to make our institutions ones where that's how it feels. And that's good. And that's basically what Avram teaches us this morning. Right? In the scene that we began our parsha with, Avram is hanging out in the doorway of his tent. He's just undergone, surgery in a relatively sensitive area, and yet he's still, look it up, okay? All right, and yet he's still looking for people that he can bring in. And when he sees 3 strangers walking towards his tent, he gets up and he runs to them. And he says, "Come on, come in, come in, come in. Here, let me get you some food. Sarah, put the cake on. Right? Let me wash your feet. Let me wash your hands. Let me do all of these things." And this is, we are told, a great mitzvah. And it is an incredible thing that Avraham can do to make people feel welcomed in this moment. And the story is one of a kind with other stories that are in other traditions, right? The myth of Bacchus and Philemon that Ovid tells us in the Metamorphosis, right, is that there's a family and Zeus and Hermes dress up as mortals and they go door to door to door asking for food and for lodging, and no one helps them except for this old couple at the edge of town. And so Hermes and Zeus reveal themselves and they destroy the town. By the way, I don't know which came first, the Sodom and Gomorrah story or this one, but let's say they stole it from us. And they say, "Okay, because you gave us hospitality, Bacchus and Philemon, you're going to be safe and you're going to be fine, but the rest of the town is going to be destroyed," which, by the way, is exactly what happens in our parsha with Sodom and Gomorrah and Lot and Lot's family. And these stories are of a piece, and what do they teach us? They teach us the value of hospitality, right? It's not just a value, it's a commandment. It's a commandment for us. It's a commandment in the ancient world. When someone shows up to your home, you say, hi, how are you? Can I get you some food? What can I do for you, right? It's a mitzvah. It's something that we are meant to do. And Avram goes so far as to, even at the end of our parsha, after everything that happens, after Avimelech, after all this, there's a moment where he plants a tree. At the end of this deal he makes with a foreign king, and it's a tree that's called Eshel. And the rabbis don't know what Eshel means, because in Hebrew, Eshel doesn't mean anything. Now it means tamarisk because of this story. But Eshel, the rabbis say, is actually an acronym that Avraham was teaching us: Achila, Shtia, and Lina. Achila means food, Shtia means water or something to drink, okay? And then there's actually a rabbinic debate, because of course there is, whether it means Lina, which means a place to stay, a place to sleep, or Levaya, which means an escort, right? So these are the rules of hospitality according to Avram. When someone comes to you, you give them a place, you give them something to eat, you give them something to drink, and then you either give them a place to rest or a safe escort on their way, okay? Hosts will know there's quite a big difference between saying, would you like to spend the night, and how can I help you get out of here? But either way, that is what we are meant to do. And Avram teaches us this because he plants this tree which will become a reminder. But the rabbis, of course, can't leave it at that. And in the Talmud, they say, no, but really, what did he plant? When he plants this Eshel, and Rabbi Nehemiah and Rabbi Yehuda have a fight, it doesn't matter which one said which. One says, when he planted the tree, he actually planted an orchard, an entire orchard that people could come and take, and fruit and sleep and shade and all of these things. And another says, no, what it planted is a word for built. He actually built an inn. He built a hotel. And that he sort of ran this hotel for people to come and to stay and to go to. And a later rabbi says, well, he says, my benai, what's the difference between an orchard and a hotel? One is something that you plant, and it grows, and it has things for people, and some can come and they can take, and some can go. And then also an orchard requires upkeep, and people to tend it, and people to prune, and to do all the things you have to do to an orchard. And an inn is something that is run by a group of people, right, for a transactional purpose. And herein gets a little bit at my problem with the Unreasonable Hospitality book and the way that we sometimes think about what hospitality means. Because it is, of course, a great mitzvah. It's a great mitzvah because it sees the humanity in the other. Right? It's virtue of a great soul that cares for the whole universe through the ties of humanity, wrote Louis Chevalier in the Encyclopedia. You can look that up. But the point of hospitality in this is that it sees the humanity of the other. I have to think to myself, what would someone walking down a dusty road at noon in the middle of Canaan need for just a moment? They need something to eat, they need something to drink, their feet are probably dusty, let me wash them off. It makes you have that moment of human connection, and that's what's important about it. The problem with hospitality, though, is it is not a two-way street. The host is hosting the guest, and it's from a place of privilege, what can I give you? And this is a problem that not only I have, but two brilliant thinkers, the French Jew Derrida and also my wife Erin, both have a problem with this kind of read of hospitality, precisely because Derrida and Erin say it others the guest. You actually don't think about them as a peer. You don't think about them as someone who is with you. You think of them as an other, as a stranger, as someone that you have to do for, and there is always going to be some kind of barrier there. And so I love the idea of us trying to meet each other's needs. I love the idea that this is a mitzvah, and we have to do that. We have to find ways, even in passing, even in how we set up our rooms, even in how we set up our sanctuary, to make sure that people feel welcomed and they feel at home. But this is not an inn. This is an orchard. This is not Avram's tent. We are not a proselytizing people who are running down Lancaster trying to bring people in and feed them, though for some of us I know that's what we would like to do, Ken. But we are a group of people who all come together for a purpose. We are a group of people who build something together. And what is that called? It's called a mishkan. That's the thing that creates Jewish community. That's the thing that brings people closer to God, is a mishkan. And how is a mishkan built? This is extra bonus trivia because we're not going to read about it for another few months. But unlike Avram's tent, who builds the mishkan? Who brings the materials? Everybody, right? We all have to donate to the mishkan. Everyone comes together to build it. When we're schlepping the mishkan along in the wilderness and we have to take it down and put it up as we're walking, who has to carry it? Everybody! Just the priests, but that's okay. But all of the priests, they have to pick up each little piece and they have to carry it as we move along, because that is what we should be. A community of people who are all a part of each other's lives, all a part of helping, all a part of building. Yes, we have professionals and they're the best in the business. Yeah, that's okay. That was supposed to be a laugh line, but I guess it wasn't. All right. Yeah. Yes, we have a board. We have an executive committee. We have people who spend their time thinking about how to welcome, thinking about how to, but everyone here is a part of carrying this mishkan through the desert. Every single person here is a part of doing that. And we do it, by the way, this is not a joke, so well. The people in this room, the people in this community help one another in beautiful ways. There's some, I want to share at least one way because it was so touching. There's a woman who, Millie Miller, has been a part of this community for decades. She is at every single Friday night service. She has been a part of our Better Together program that brings religious school kids together with people who are older than religious school kids, and they have a beautiful moment. And she was ill. And so the Better Together kids wrote letters to her, and they sent it to her. And when I went to visit her this week, the only thing she wanted to do, how are you? She just wanted to show me the letters. And she opened the letters, and I was reading them. She said, you have to read these. And they were personalized. They said, Millie, remember the time when you did this thing and I learned this thing from you? Millie, I loved your fingernails. They were always so amazing. If anyone knows, by the way, the staff have been trying to figure out where she got her nails done because they were always very amazing. They were personalized to this woman that people just met once a month, and they got to know her a little bit over the course of the year. And when she was talking to me, because she knew that the end is near, she said, I have only two requests. I want Rabbi Schwartzman to do the funeral, which is all fine and good. And I want you to put these in with me. Because that's what it means to be a part of a community. It's doing for one another. It's not one group giving to those who need it. It's doing for each other. I got more stories. Do you want more stories? Let's do one more, at least one more. We have someone in our community who is so engaging. She embodies the mitzvah of Avraham running and trying to bring people in. That she was on the train with us back from the rally, the Israel rally in DC, and she saw a young couple, and she said, where do you go to synagogue? You have to come to my synagogue. And she brought them in, and they've been here, and we named their baby here. And they happen to speak a foreign language. They're from elsewhere. And when her child was ill this week in a foreign country, they came over and called the hospital because they speak the language and they were able to figure out what's going on. He's fine, thank God, he's fine. But that's what it means to be a part of a community, to know each other so well that we can ask for things like that we know who speaks the language, that we know whether it's an actual language or a specialty or whatever it is. And there was an article this week in the Inquirer about our synagogue and us being good hosts, and you should all feel very proud of that, of hosting Overbrook Presbyterian Church for years after they had a fire, and hosting them even for Easter services and what that meant. And the article really leaned hard into the rom-com of my relationship with Pastor Hurlson. But yeah, what was the line? Everybody wants this? That was, yeah, okay. But it wasn't just the pastor and myself, right? Laura Solomon and Adam Gregerman were the ones that actually made the connection. Ken Kravitsky is the one that saw the news about the fire and said, hey, we should reach out to these guys, right? Everyone here has been a part of what it means to bring people in, to keep them here, to let us move a meeting so that they can have their space, and to allow like 400 of them to daven by us for Easter. It was amazing. It's incredible. And it was a master of what it means to not only host, but to be a part of a community. Because, and I think we've shared this, and it was definitely in the article, it was uncomfortable for the church. Not so much for us, maybe a little bit for some reasons, right? For historical ones. But what the pastor told me is, this is hard for us because we Christians are used to being the hosts. Theologically, ideologically, we welcome others in. It's very hard for us to allow ourselves to be welcomed somewhere else. And it wasn't no small thing that they did. That's what it means to be a part of a community. Yes, there are people that we need to host and welcome in at the risk of alienating someone. If it is your first or second time here at Beth Hillel Beth El, please raise your hand. Any first or second timers? Okay. So these are the people that we're hosting, all right? Let's make sure they have food. Let's make sure they have something to drink. Ask before you wash their feet. But these are the new people that we are here to host. Everybody else, you're part of carrying this building. You're part of picking up the pieces. You're part of walking with us in the mead bar. You're part of guiding us, directing us. We all have to do this together. That is the way that we build a community that is worthy of our forefathers. That is the way that we build something that will bring us in reasonably, unreasonably, and actually have the staying power of seeing one another as humans. Thank you so much, friends. Shabbat Shalom.